morning, beautiful people. Happy April 10th. I hope everybody's doing all right out there, hanging in. Not too many backs creaking from sitting at desks if you're working from home. I say that because mine's creaking this morning. Crazy. Okay, I'm going to jump right into the reading. Here we go. The first and worst of all frauds is to cheat oneself. Philip James Bailey. Clearly, achieving serenity requires rigorous honesty, especially when it comes to our feelings. We are so adept at masking our vulnerability and imperfections, pretending to know what we can't possibly know, pretending we have no limits. In this way, we often remain untrue to ourselves. Although it may take many months or even years, we are equal to the difficulty and challenge of rigorous honesty. We can practice openness and avoid using defenses. We can learn to avoid using rage to cover fear and hurt, and to avoid using smiles to cover sadness and pain. I can't wait till I could read one without tripping up. In recovery, we can learn to know and tell our real feelings. We can find harmony with ourselves. Rigorous honesty can become one of our character traits, particularly when we feel that we no longer have to fear sharing who we really are. Today, help me overcome my fears of being vulnerable and imperfect. Help me achieve serenity by honestly sharing my feelings. Anything regarding honesty and recovery, I'm going to be a fan of. So I like today's reading. I was thinking how my life has changed since really being honest about gambling and drinking and my feelings, whatever I've been honest about the last few years that I hadn't been honest prior. And I'm convinced I'm living my best life now. So honesty and getting over being vulnerable are probably good things, or at least in my experience, they're good things. Even though I've been I probably had to feel more feelings than I cared to feel. Especially this last year has been, crazy. And what I found is by being honest about what I'm feeling and dealing with it, right, wrong, or indifferent, maybe it's, going to Zumba or writing in a journal or talking to one of my friends, whatever, dealing with it, talking about it, or my group, they hear all my honest, vulnerable drama. Regardless, once I get it off my chest, it's a whole lot easier to move forward. That's what I'm finding. I always thought it was like my bad memory, but once I kind of release things or vent or blow, get them out of my system the way I live my life now, not everything, but I kind of forget, I diminish its value, if it's something bad. Let me see if I can give you a good example. I'm drawing a blank on how to give you a good example. So I'm going to give you a work example. If I had an employee and they made a mistake and we talk about it and correct it, the next day I don't think about that mistake. Like once an action's been corrected or dealt with, it just goes away. I don't hang on to it because there's no value to hanging on to it. So it's the same kind of thing. Like if I get over my fear of talking to you every day, once it's done, it's done. I don't have to talk about being afraid of that anymore, unless I'm trying to give you an example on honesty and vulnerability and fear, I guess. Again, I believe that honesty is one of my strengths, and people don't always like it or agree with it, I will say. And that's okay too, because then it helps relieve some of the clutter. If somebody doesn't align with my values or doesn't appreciate the honesty piece, it could go one of two ways. Either we can talk about it like adults that aren't acting like addicts and come up with, whatever that solution is and move forward together, or we could not agree, or it could cause us to go separate ways. Then if you don't fit into my best life, I can't change you. And this could be a person, thing, whatever, place or thing, then you can't be part of my life. Like, I've heard people get real honest in group about places, if they had a drug history in, say, New York City or Philly or wherever, they had a drug world and then they moved away from that world for their clean and sober life. They may not be able to go back to those places. So by being really honest with yourself and honest about your recovery, it's a whole lot easier to decide what should and shouldn't be in your life. Again, my humble opinion. So, all right, well, I am going to go to work, and I apologize for being later than I wanted to be again. I actually slept from like 6 last night until 6 this morning, essentially. So, have a good day. Drink your water. I'm never going to let that go, right? Maybe go for a walk, because I know I got to go for a walk for sure today, because I think that's why my back is acting crazy. And we will work on the second priority of our 4th step tonight. So I look forward to doing that with you later. Have a great day, everybody.